The quarantine zone extended for 50 light-years in all directions around human space, marked by Zephyrian warning buoys that broadcast a simple message to any approaching vessels. Contaminated species, psychic hazard, approach forbidden by order of the Galactic Harmony Council. Admiral Patricia Hayes stood in the command center of Earth's Defense Headquarters, staring at the tactical display that showed their new reality. "How many species have joined the quarantine?" she asked Commander Ben Taylor, Earth's newly appointed alien relations specialist. Ben checked his reports with a grim expression.
17 so far.
The Zephyrians have been very thorough in spreading their warning about human psychic toxicity throughout the galaxy. The past 3 months had been a nightmare of isolation and diplomatic failure. Every attempt to contact other alien species had been met with silence or outright hostility. The few responses they received contained variations of the same message. Humanity was considered dangerous and unstable, a species whose violent nature made them unfit for galactic civilization. Dr. Amanda Rogers had returned to Earth after the disastrous dream session, carrying with her the weight of responsibility for humanity's first contact failure. She worked now in a classified research facility, trying to develop new ways to communicate with aliens who refuse to risk any form of mental contact with humans. "The problem is fundamental," Amanda explained to a gathering of Earth's top scientists and military leaders. "The Zephyrians evolved along a completely different path than we did. They eliminated violence and conflict from their nature millions of years ago. To them, our capacity for both good and evil makes us incomprehensible and terrifying." Dr. Maria Santos, a psychologist who had joined the Alien Contact Project, studied the data from the failed dream session. "Look at this analysis of Zephyrian brain patterns during the contact. They literally cannot process the concept of necessary violence or justified anger. When they encountered our memories of self-defense or protecting loved ones, their minds interpreted it as pure evil." The research team had been working on a new approach to alien communication, one that might help other species understand humanity's dual nature. Instead of sharing raw memories and emotions, they were developing a way to present human experiences in context, showing not just what humans had done, but why they had chosen to do it. "We need to show them that our darkness serves a purpose," Amanda argued during one of their planning sessions, "that our capacity for violence exists primarily to protect what we love, not to destroy for pleasure." But their research was interrupted by news that changed everything. Captain Jake Morrison's voice crackled through the communication system from the monitoring station at the edge of human space. "Admiral Hayes, we're detecting massive gravitational anomalies in the Kepler system. Something big is happening out there." The Kepler system contained the Zephyrian colony world of Vel Sanctuary, home to over 50 million of the peaceful aliens. Long-range sensors showed that a rogue asteroid the size of a small moon was on a collision course with the planet, apparently knocked out of its stable orbit by some cosmic accident. "How long until impact?" Admiral Hayes asked. Jake's response sent a chill through the command center. 18 hours. The Zephyrians don't seem to be taking any defensive measures. Their ships are just watching. Dr. Santos realized the horrible truth first. They don't know how to fight it. Their entire civilization evolved without conflict or violence. They've never developed weapons or defensive technologies because they never needed them. The irony was crushing. The same peaceful nature that made the Zephyrians recoil from human darkness also left them helpless against natural disasters. They had mastered dream-sharing and biocrystal technology, but they had never learned to battle destructive forces because battle itself was alien to their nature. Admiral Hayes made a decision that would define humanity's place in the galaxy. "Prepare the fleet for immediate departure to Kepler system. All available ships with asteroid deflection capabilities." Commander Taylor looked shocked. "Admiral, they've quarantined us. They consider us enemies. Why would we risk human lives to save people who hate us because that's what humans do?" Amanda Rogers said quietly, understanding flooding through her. "That's what our nightmares taught us. We learned to fight against darkness because we've seen what happens when no one does." The human fleet launched within 6 hours, led by Captain Morrison and the heavy cruiser Defiance. The ships were equipped with nuclear charges, gravity manipulators, and kinetic impactors, all weapons of war that had been repurposed for planetary defense. Technologies that the peaceful Zephyrians had never needed to develop. As the human ships approached the Kepler system, They were met by a Zephyrian patrol fleet. Ambassador Velthara's voice came through the communication channels, filled with confusion and desperate hope. "Why have the contaminated ones come to our sanctuary world?" "We're here to help," Captain Morrison replied simply. "That asteroid will destroy your planet if someone doesn't stop it. We have the technology and experience to deflect it." "You would risk your lives for beings who have rejected you?" Velthara asked, their voice barely a whisper. "Your species would sacrifice itself to save those who fear you." Dr. Amanda Rogers, who had insisted on joining the mission, spoke directly to the Zephyrian ambassador. "This is what you didn't understand about our darkness, Velthara. We learn to fight because we've seen what happens to the innocent when evil goes unopposed. Our capacity for violence exists to protect life, not to destroy it." The human fleet split into formation around the massive asteroid, using every technique they had developed during centuries of warfare and planetary defense. Nuclear charges planted deep in the asteroid's core, gravity manipulators to alter its trajectory, and kinetic impactors to break up the largest fragments. The operation was dangerous and complex, requiring split-second timing and the kind of aggressive maneuvering that only species familiar with combat could execute. 2 human ships were lost when asteroid fragments damaged their engines, but their crews managed to evacuate to other vessels before the final explosions. Nicole Davis, piloting the lead deflection craft, made the ultimate sacrifice. When the asteroid's trajectory proved more stubborn than expected, she flew her ship directly into the massive rock's weak point, detonating her entire payload at point-blank range. Her final transmission was a dream image that somehow reached the Zephyrian observers, a vision of her young daughter back on Earth, safe and playing in a garden under blue skies. The asteroid broke apart and scattered harmlessly into space, its fragments burning up in Vel Sanctuary's atmosphere like shooting stars. 50 million Zephyrian lives had been saved by the humans they had rejected and feared. In the aftermath, as rescue ships collected the human survivors, Ambassador Velthara requested a direct communication with Dr. Amanda Rogers. This time the alien chose dream sharing despite their fear of human consciousness. "We begin to understand," Velthara said as their minds touched in the space between thoughts. "Your nightmares taught you to recognize evil, and your darkness gave you the strength to fight it." The pilot Nicole, who sacrificed, her mind contained both terrible capacity for destruction and beautiful love for her offspring. Amanda shared her memories of human history more carefully this time, showing the Zephyrian not just the wars and atrocities, but the context that surrounded them. The humans who fought against oppression, who sacrificed themselves to save others, who chose to use their capacity for violence only when it was necessary to protect the innocent. "Your species walks a path we cannot follow," Velthara admitted, "but perhaps that path has value we failed to recognize. You carry darkness so that you can choose light. You understand evil so that you can fight it." The quarantine remained in place, but its nature changed. No longer was it a barrier to contain a dangerous species. It had become a protective boundary around beings too valuable to lose. The galaxy had learned that sometimes you needed monsters to fight monsters, and that humanity's willingness to be monsters in service of good made them something unprecedented in galactic civilization. Dr. Amanda Rogers returned to Earth knowing that humanity's place in the galaxy would forever be complicated. They would never be fully accepted by peaceful species like the Zephyrians, but they had earned something perhaps more important: respect for their willingness to carry darkness so that others could live in light. The deep dream session was supposed to be a breakthrough in human Zephyrian understanding. Dr. Amanda Rogers had spent weeks preparing for this advanced form of dream sharing that would allow the aliens to access not just conscious memories, but the deeper layers of human psychology where instincts and suppressed experiences lived. "Are you certain this is safe?" Captain Jake Morrison asked as Amanda climbed into the modified dream interface pod. The chamber had been redesigned with both human technology and Zephyrian biocrystals that pulsed with nervous energy. Ambassador Velthara and 5 other Zephyrian dreamweavers had gathered for what they called a deep harmony session. "We must understand the source of your dark patterns," Velthara explained, their light form shifting between colors of curiosity and concern. "If we can heal whatever creates these nightmare visions, your species can achieve the same peace that we have known for millions of years." Amanda settled into the pod while Lisa Park monitored her vital signs from the control station. Around the chamber, other crew members had volunteered to participate in the session. Marine Sergeant Alex Cooper sat quietly in his pod, his scarred hands resting calmly in his lap despite the storm of memories that lay buried in his mind. Communications Specialist Ryan Torres checked his interface connections one final time, unaware that his childhood trauma would soon become visible to beings who had never experienced pain. The dream session began gently, as always. The shared space materialized as a peaceful garden where human and Zephyrian minds could meet safely. But this time the Zephyrian dreamweavers pushed deeper, extending their consciousness beyond the surface thoughts that humans usually shared. Amanda felt the alien minds probing at the edges of memories she had spent years learning to suppress. Her father's death when she was 12, the months of grief and anger that followed, the fear that had driven her to become a scientist, hoping that understanding the universe might somehow make sense of loss and suffering. "What is this sensation?" asked Luz Harmony, one of the Zephyrian participants. The alien consciousness had touched Amanda's memory of standing at her father's grave, and the raw emotion hit the peaceful being like a physical blow. This feeling of permanent ending, this darkness that consumes joy, what purpose does it serve? Before Amanda could respond, the dream session spiraled beyond anyone's control. The Zephyrian probe had weakened the barriers that kept human subconscious minds separate, and suddenly the shared space flooded with suppressed memories and hidden fears from all the human participants. Alex Cooper's war experiences exploded into the dream realm with brutal clarity. The Zephyrians found themselves experiencing human combat for the first time, feeling the terror and adrenaline of battle, the grief of watching friends die, the complex mixture of survival instinct and moral horror that defined a soldier's existence. They witnessed Alex's memories of the Mars colonial wars, where humans had fought other humans over resources and territory with devastating efficiency. "Stop this," Velthara cried out, but the session had gained its own momentum. Ryan Torres's childhood memories surfaced next, years of abuse and neglect that had taught him not to trust others, fears that still haunted his dreams decades later. The Zephyrians experienced human betrayal and deliberate cruelty for the first time, concepts so alien to their nature that they could barely process what they were feeling. Dr. Amanda Rogers tried to regain control of the session, but her own deepest fears had begun leaking into the shared space. The Zephyrians saw her nightmares about failure and inadequacy, her terror of being responsible for disasters that could cost lives, her suppressed anger at a universe that seemed designed to create suffering. But it was the collective unconscious memories that truly horrified the aliens. Hidden in human DNA were ancestral memories of violence and survival, genetic echoes of humanity's evolutionary path. The Zephyrians experienced flashes of primitive warfare, territorial disputes, and the brutal competition that had shaped human development. They felt the predator instincts that still lurked in human minds, the capacity for deliberate harm that coexisted with humanity's ability to create beauty and love. "This cannot be real," Luz Harmony whispered, her form flickering with colors of distress and disbelief. "No species can contain such darkness and still create the beautiful dreams we have seen. These must be corrupted patterns, some kind of mental disease." The session reached its horrifying climax when the Zephyrians accessed humanity's collective historical memory. They witnessed the wars that had scarred Earth's surface, the genocides and atrocities that humans had committed against their own species. They experienced the Holocaust through the nightmares of survivors, felt the atomic fire of Hiroshima and Nagasaki, witnessed the environmental destruction that humans had inflicted on their own world. Ambassador Velthara let out a sound that no Zephyrian had ever made before, a scream of pure horror and revulsion. "What are you?" the ambassador demanded, pulling back from the dream connection so violently that several human participants were knocked unconscious by the psychic backlash. What manner of beings can dream of love and beauty while carrying such capacity for evil? The dream session collapsed into chaos as the Zephyrians fled from the shared space, unable to process what they had experienced. Amanda Rogers woke up with blood running from her nose, her mind reeling from the violent disconnection. Around the chamber, other human participants were stirring with looks of confusion and pain. "Medical emergency in Dream Chamber 7. Lisa Park called over the station intercom as she rushed to check on the unconscious crew members. The Zephyrian biocrystals throughout the station had gone dark, and the organic sections of the station seemed to be withdrawing from the human areas. Captain Morrison arrived to find Amanda sitting on the edge of her pod, holding her head in her hands. "What happened?" he asked, though the horrified expressions on everyone's faces gave him a clear indication that something had gone terribly wrong. "They saw everything," Amanda whispered. "Not just our nightmares, but our history. Our capacity for violence and cruelty. They understand now what humans are really capable of." Alex Cooper was the last to regain consciousness, his military training helping him recover quickly from the psychic shock. "Did we just lose our first alien allies?" he asked grimly. The question hung in the air as the station systems began shutting down around them. Within hours, all Zephyrian personnel had evacuated to their own vessels. Ambassador Velthara appeared one final time as a projection, speaking through mechanical translators rather than risking any psychic contact with human minds. "We came to your species with hope and wonder," the ambassador said, their voice cold with betrayal and fear. "We believed that minds capable of such beautiful dreams must be fundamentally good, perhaps even more evolved than our own peaceful nature. But you have deceived us." Amanda tried to explain that humanity's darkness and light were inseparable, that the capacity for evil made the choice to do good meaningful, but Velthara refused to listen. "You are contaminated beings," the ambassador declared. "Your minds carry patterns of destruction and cruelty that could infect our peaceful civilization. We had planned to share our technology with you, to help you spread your beautiful dreams across the galaxy, but now we understand the truth." The transmission ended with a finality that chilled every human present. Through the station windows, they could see the Zephyrian ships preparing to depart, their crystalline hulls glowing with decision and resolve. "They're going to warn the other species, aren't they?" Ryan Torres asked quietly. Captain Morrison nodded grimly. "Probably. We may have just become outcasts before we even knew there was a galactic community to be cast out from." As the Zephyrian fleet disappeared into their interdimensional space, the humans were left alone with the realization that their first contact had become their first diplomatic disaster. They had wanted to share their dreams with the stars, but instead they had revealed their nightmares to beings who could never understand that both were essential parts of what made them human. The research vessel. New Horizon drifted silently through the darkness near Europa, its hull gleaming under the distant light of Jupiter. Dr. Amanda Rogers pressed her face against the observation deck window and watched the ice moon spin slowly below them. She had spent 3 years studying the strange energy readings that came from beneath Europa's frozen surface, but nothing had prepared her for what they found 2 weeks ago. Captain Jake Morrison walked up behind her holding 2 cups of coffee. He handed one to Amanda and took a sip from his own. "Still thinking about those readings?" he asked. Amanda nodded and turned away from the window. The energy signatures were unlike anything in their databases. They pulsed in patterns that seemed almost like music, but no known natural phenomenon could create such organized waves. "The patterns are too perfect," Amanda said. "Too organized. Natural energy doesn't behave like this." Jake had heard this conversation many times before, but he never got tired of listening to Amanda's theories. She was the best xenobiologist in the fleet, and if anyone could solve this mystery, it would be her. Lisa Park, their communications officer, appeared in the doorway looking excited. She held a tablet in her hands and her eyes were bright with discovery. "You need to see this," she said, almost breathless. "I've been analyzing the sleep patterns of the crew for the past week, and something incredible is happening." Amanda and Jake followed Lisa to the communications bay where she had set up multiple screens showing brainwave patterns and sleep cycle data. The screens showed colorful waves that danced and pulsed in complex rhythms. "Look at this," Lisa said, pointing to the main display. "For the past 7 nights, every crew member has been having the same type of dreams during REM sleep." Jake frowned and leaned closer to the screen. "What do you mean, same type?" Lisa pulled up another screen showing recorded dream descriptions from the crew's morning reports. They're all dreaming about places they've never seen. Landscapes of crystal and light, beings that glow like stars. And here's the strangest part. They're all having these dreams at exactly the same time. Amanda felt her heart rate increase as she read the dream reports. Engineer Katie Sullivan had dreamed of walking through a forest made of living light. Pilot Sam Martinez had seen cities that floated in the air, built from what looked like solidified music. Communications specialist Ryan Torres had encountered beings of pure energy, that tried to speak to him without words. "This isn't possible," Amanda whispered, but even as she said it, she knew that impossible things happened all the time in deep space. "Show me the timing correlation with the energy readings from Europa." Lisa's fingers flew across the keyboard, and a new display appeared. The energy pulses from Europa matched perfectly with the crew's shared dreaming periods. Jake stepped back from the screens and ran his hand through his hair. "You're suggesting that something on Europa is affecting our dreams?" Amanda nodded slowly. "Not affecting, communicating." The three of them stood in silence for a moment, absorbing the implications. If Amanda was right, they had discovered the first evidence of alien intelligence that humanity had ever encountered. That night, Amanda decided to participate in the next dream cycle herself. She had Lisa monitor her brainwaves while she slept, hoping to gather more data about these mysterious shared experiences. As she drifted off to sleep in her quarters, Amanda felt a strange tingling sensation, as if electricity was flowing gently through her mind. The dream began like diving into warm water made of light. Amanda found herself standing in a vast space that seemed to exist between dimensions. The ground beneath her feet felt solid but looked like flowing starlight. In the distance, she could see other members of her crew, but they appeared translucent, like ghosts made of memory. Then she saw them. The beings approached slowly, moving without walking, their forms shifting between human-like shapes and pure energy. They were beautiful in a way that made Amanda's heart ache with wonder. Their presence felt ancient and wise, but also curious and gentle. When they spoke, Amanda heard no words, but understanding flowed directly into her mind. "Welcome, dreamer of the third world," the nearest being communicated. "We are the Zephyrians of the light realm. We have been waiting for minds like yours to find us." Amanda tried to respond, but found that her thoughts became words without her speaking them. "What are you? Where do you come from?" "We are the children of harmony," the being replied. "We live in the spaces between thoughts and the music between heartbeats. Your dreams shine so brightly in the void. We have watched them dance across the darkness and wondered about the minds that create such colorful visions." Amanda looked around and saw that the space was filled with flowing patterns of light and color that seemed to respond to emotions and thoughts. "You communicate through dreams," she realized. The being that spoke to her seemed to smile, though its face was made of shifting light. "Dreams are the true language of consciousness. Your people dream such beautiful things. Stories of love and hope, visions of futures filled with wonder." "But there are dark dreams too," Amanda said, thinking of the nightmares that sometimes plagued human sleep. The being's light dimmed slightly and Amanda sensed confusion. "We do not understand dark dreams. Your people create images of beauty and joy, but sometimes we sense patterns we cannot interpret, shadows in your thoughts that feel different." Amanda woke up suddenly, her heart pounding. Lisa was already at her bedside, studying the readings from the brainwave monitor. "Amanda, you were in REM sleep for 4 hours, but your brain activity was unlike anything I've ever seen. It was as if you were conscious and dreaming at the same time." The next morning, the entire crew gathered in the main conference room. Amanda shared her dream experience while Lisa presented the technical data they had collected. The evidence was overwhelming. They had made contact with an alien intelligence that communicated through shared dreaming. "They call themselves Zephyrians," Amanda explained. "They exist in some kind of interdimensional space, and they've been observing our dreams. They seem fascinated by human creativity and want to establish formal contact." Captain Morrison leaned back in his chair, processing the incredible news. "This changes everything. We need to contact Earth Command immediately and establish protocols for this kind of communication." But Amanda shook her head. "They want to meet us first in the dream space. They've invited our entire crew to participate in what they call a gathering of minds tomorrow night." The crew spent the rest of the day preparing for humanity's first formal diplomatic meeting with an alien species, knowing that it would take place in the realm of dreams rather than the physical world. As Amanda drifted off to sleep that night, she wondered what the Zephyrians would think when they truly understood the complexity of human consciousness, including the darker dreams that even she didn't fully comprehend. 6 months had passed since first contact with the Zephyrians, and the Joint Research Station Harmony floated peacefully in neutral space between Earth and the alien home dimension. The station looked like a massive crystal flower, with human-designed metal sections connected to organic-looking structures that the Zephyrians had grown from pure thought and energy. Dr. Amanda Rogers walked through the dream interface chamber, checking the equipment that allowed humans to communicate safely with their new alien friends. The room hummed with soft music that seemed to come from the walls themselves, a gift from the Zephyrians who believed that all technology should bring joy to those who used it. Katie Sullivan, their chief engineer, was working on the latest modification to the dream interface pods. The Zephyrians suggested we add these resonance crystals, she told Amanda, pointing to beautiful blue stones that pulsed with gentle light. They say it will make the dream sharing more comfortable for humans. The cultural exchange had been remarkable beyond anyone's expectations. The Zephyrians were fascinated by every aspect of human creativity and treated human dreams like the most beautiful art they had ever encountered. In return, they shared visions of their own civilization, a society that had existed for millions of years without war, poverty, or suffering. Ambassador Velthara, the primary Zephyrian representative, appeared in the chamber as a shimmering column of golden light. When communicating outside of dreams, the aliens used translation devices that converted their thoughts into spoken words, though they clearly preferred the intimacy of dream sharing. "Greetings. Amanda, who studies life," Velthara said in the musical voice that all Zephyrians shared. "We are eager for today's cultural sharing session. Your pilot, Sam Who Flies, has promised to show us more of your adventure dreams, as you call them." Amanda smiled and activated the interface pod. Over the past months, she had learned that Zephyrians had difficulty understanding individual names, so they referred to humans by their primary functions or personality traits. She had become Amanda Who Studies Life, while Captain Morrison was Jake Who Leads Others. Sam Martinez arrived in the chamber looking excited about the day's session. He had become the unofficial human ambassador for sharing adventure and exploration dreams with the Zephyrians. "They want to understand how we dream about discovering new places," he told Amanda. "I'm going to show them some memories from when I first saw the rings of Saturn." The dream-sharing session began as it always did, with humans and Zephyrians meeting in the space between consciousness and sleep. The shared dream realm had become more elaborate over the months, shaped by both human imagination and Zephyrian dream-weaving abilities. Today it appeared as a vast library with floating books that contained memories and experiences instead of words. Velthara's dream form was more solid than usual, appearing as a tall figure made of flowing starlight, with features that suggested both masculine and feminine qualities. "Show us the joy of discovery, Sam Who Flies," the ambassador requested. Sam opened one of the floating books, and suddenly the dream space transformed into the cockpit of his first spacecraft. The Zephyrians gathered around as they experienced Sam's memory of approaching Saturn for the first time, feeling his wonder and excitement as the massive planet filled the view screen. They shared his emotions as he guided the ship through the ring system, dodging ice particles and marveling at the ancient beauty of the cosmic dance. "Such beautiful emotions," whispered another Zephyrian dreamweaver named Luz Harmony. "Your species feels joy so intensely when you discover new things. We had forgotten what it was like to see something for the first time." Katie Sullivan shared her dreams of building and creating, showing the Zephyrians the satisfaction that came from solving complex engineering problems. The aliens were amazed by the human ability to find pleasure in overcoming obstacles and creating order from chaos. "You make beauty from struggle," observed Velthara. "This is unknown to us." Communications specialist Ryan Torres had been working with the Zephyrians to understand their society better. During his sharing session, he asked to see how the Zephyrians lived day to day. The dream space shifted to show a city that looked like it was built from crystallized music and flowing light. Beings moved through the streets without walking, their forms shifting and dancing as they communicated through pure emotion and thought. "We have no conflict in our world," explained Velthara as they toured the dream city. "No individual wants things that would harm others. No one takes more than they need. We grow our cities from collective desires and shape our world through shared dreams." Ryan felt a deep sense of peace as he experienced the Zephyrian way of life, but also a strange sadness. "Don't you ever disagree about anything?" he asked. The Zephyrians in the dream seemed puzzled by the question. "Why would minds that understand each other completely ever disagree?" Luz Harmony responded. "Disagreement comes from misunderstanding, and we share all thoughts freely." Dr. Amanda Rogers joined the session to share some of humanity's scientific achievements. She showed the Zephyrians dreams of human space exploration, medical breakthroughs, and technological advancement. The aliens were particularly interested in human curiosity and the drive to understand the universe through experimentation and discovery. Your minds work differently than ours, observed Velthara. You question everything, even your own thoughts. You seek to understand things by taking them apart and putting them back together. We understand through harmony and feeling. As the session continued, Amanda noticed that some of the Zephyrians seemed uncomfortable when certain human memories appeared in the shared space. When Ryan accidentally shared a memory of an argument he had with a fellow crew member, several aliens pulled back from the dream connection. "What troubles you?" Amanda asked gently. Velthara's form flickered with uncertain colors. "Some of your dream patterns contain elements we do not recognize. Dark shadows that seem to serve no purpose. Emotions that create disharmony instead of beauty." Lisa Park, who had been monitoring the sessions from outside the dream space, noticed unusual readings on her instruments. The Zephyrian energy patterns showed signs of distress whenever humans shared memories that contained conflict, fear, or negative emotions. They seemed to have no experience with negative emotions at all, Lisa reported to Captain Morrison later that day. Their entire species evolved along a path that eliminated things like anger, fear, and aggression. They literally don't understand how we can have both beautiful dreams and nightmares. Captain Morrison nodded thoughtfully. We need to be careful about what we share. We don't want to traumatize them with aspects of humanity they're not prepared to understand. But the warning came too late. That night, during an unsupervised dream-sharing session, engineer Katie Sullivan had a nightmare about a spacecraft accident she had witnessed years earlier. The dream leaked into the shared space, and for the first time, the Zephyrians experienced human fear, panic, and the concept of accidental death. The alien response was immediate and dramatic. All Zephyrians on the station withdrew from dream contact, and Velthara's physical form appeared in the human quarters, flickering with distressed colors. "What was that darkness we felt?" the ambassador asked, voice trembling with confusion. "That pattern of terror and ending. We do not understand how minds that create such beauty can also generate such horrible visions." Amanda tried to explain the concept of nightmares and how they related to human psychology, but the Zephyrians seemed unable to process the information. To them, the idea that the same minds capable of creating dreams of love and wonder could also generate images of fear and death was incomprehensible. "We must study this phenomenon more carefully," Velthara decided. "Perhaps these dark patterns are some kind of mental illness that we can help you cure." But Amanda felt a growing concern that the Zephyrians were about to discover aspects of humanity that their peaceful species was not equipped to understand. The cultural exchange continued, but now there was tension beneath the surface. The Zephyrians began requesting access to deeper levels of human consciousness, wanting to understand the source of both human creativity and human darkness. Amanda realized that they were approaching a crossroads that would determine the future of human-alien relations. As she prepared for sleep that night, Amanda wondered what would happen when the Zephyrians discovered that human nightmares weren't a flaw to be cured, but an integral part of what made humanity both capable of great beauty and terrible destruction. 2 years had passed since the asteroid deflection at Vel Sanctuary, and the galaxy had slowly begun to understand what humanity represented. The quarantine zone still existed, but it had transformed from a prison into something more complex, a sanctuary for a species too dangerous and too valuable to be ignored. Dr. Amanda Rogers stood in the observation deck of the new space station Unity, watching as human and Zephyrian children played together in the central habitat ring. The sight would have been impossible to imagine during the dark days after first contact, but the universe had a way of creating unexpected possibilities. "They're learning from each other," observed Dr. Maria Santos as she joined Amanda at the viewing port. Below them, a group of human children were teaching Zephyrian younglings how to play a simple game of tag, while the alien children shared their ability to create beautiful light patterns with their thoughts. The relationship between the two species had evolved into something unprecedented in galactic history. The Zephyrians had lifted their communications ban after the asteroid crisis, but they maintained careful psychological barriers during all interactions. They had learned to work with humans while protecting themselves from the more disturbing aspects of human consciousness. Ambassador Velthera materialized nearby as a column of gentle blue light, their form more stable than it had been in the early days of contact. Amanda, who studies life, the ambassador said in greeting. The Council of Harmony has reached a decision regarding humanity's petition for galactic citizenship. Amanda felt her heart skip a beat. For 2 years, Earth had been negotiating for acceptance into the broader galactic community, despite the fear and suspicion that still surrounded their species. What have they decided? She asked. You will be granted provisional membership with special conditions, Velthera replied. Humanity will serve as the galaxy's protectors, the species willing and able to confront threats that peaceful civilizations cannot face. Your darkness, as you call it, will be channeled toward defending those who choose to live in light. The decision made perfect sense, Amanda realized. The galaxy needed humanity's unique nature, their ability to understand and combat evil because they carried the potential for it themselves. Most alien species had evolved beyond violence, but that left them vulnerable to the few hostile species that still existed in the universe. Captain Jake Morrison arrived in the observation lounge carrying news from Earth Command. We've received 3 requests for assistance this week, he reported. The Crystalline Collective is dealing with space pirates who are enslaving their traders. The Harmony worlds need help with a rogue AI that's threatening their computer networks. And there's a report of some kind of predator species attacking peaceful colonies in the Outer Rim. These were exactly the kinds of problems that peaceful species couldn't handle themselves. They lacked the mental framework to understand predatory behavior, or the willingness to use violence even when it was necessary for defense. Humanity had become the galaxy's immune system, protecting the innocent from threats they couldn't comprehend. It's not what we expected when we first dreamed of meeting aliens, Amanda mused, but maybe it's what the universe needs. The real breakthrough had come when Dr. Santos developed the context-sharing protocol. Instead of overwhelming alien minds with raw human experiences, the new system allowed humans to share their memories within explanatory frameworks that peaceful species could understand. Aliens could experience human conflict while also understanding the moral reasoning behind human actions. Look at this, Dr. Santos said, activating a holographic display that showed recent communication logs. The Empathic Federation wants to understand how humans maintain moral guidelines during wartime. The Pacifist Alliance is asking for lessons on recognizing and stopping aggressive species before they become dangerous. Humanity had become the galaxy's teachers of necessary darkness. Species that had never experienced evil needed to learn how to recognize it, and humans were uniquely qualified to provide that education. The nightmares that had horrified the Zephyrians were now being studied as valuable survival information. We're creating a new form of interspecies cooperation, Amanda realized. The peaceful species maintain civilization and culture, while we handle the threats that would destroy everything they've built. The partnership had practical benefits for humanity as well. The Zephyrians had shared their biocrystal technology, allowing humans to grow living ships that could repair themselves and respond to their pilots' thoughts. Other alien species had contributed advances in medicine, energy production, and space travel. In exchange for serving as the galaxy's guardians, humanity gained access to technologies that would have taken millennia to develop on their own. Commander Ben Taylor joined them with reports from the latest diplomatic missions. The response has been mixed but generally positive, he said. Most species are relieved to have someone else handle their security problems. A few are still afraid of us, but they're willing to work with us as long as we maintain our distance. The solution had been elegant in its simplicity. Humanity would maintain separate colonies and space stations, serving as a buffer between the peaceful galactic civilization and the chaotic dangers of unexplored space. They would be part of galactic society, but forever set apart by their unique nature. There's something else, Jake Morrison said, his expression serious. We've detected signals from beyond the galactic rim. Something big is out there and it's heading this way. The preliminary analysis suggests it might be a species even more violent and destructive than anything we've encountered. Amanda felt a familiar chill of anticipation and dread. This was exactly the kind of threat that humanity existed to face. Something so dangerous that peaceful species couldn't even conceptualize how to fight it. How long until it arrives, unknown. Could be years, could be decades. But when it comes, we'll be the only species capable of understanding how to fight it. The irony was complete. Humanity's nightmares, which had initially horrified their alien allies, had become their greatest gift to galactic civilization. The capacity for violence that made other species fear humans also made them uniquely valuable as protectors and defenders. Dr. Amanda Rogers looked out at the stars and thought about humanity's journey from first contact to their current role as galactic guardians. They had wanted to share their beautiful dreams with alien civilizations, but instead they had discovered that their nightmares were just as important. "We carry the darkness so others don't have to," she said softly. "We understand evil so we can fight it. We dream of monsters so we can protect those who only dream of beauty." In the habitat ring below, human and Zephyrian children continued playing together, learning from each other in ways their ancestors never could have imagined. The human children were learning empathy and harmony from their alien friends, while the Zephyrian younglings were developing the ability to recognize and respond to threats. Perhaps this new generation would find a better balance between light and darkness, creating something that neither species could achieve alone. The humans would always carry their capacity for violence, but they were learning to temper it with alien wisdom. The Zephyrians would always be peaceful by nature, but they were developing the awareness needed to survive in a dangerous universe. Ambassador Velthara's form shifted to warmer colors as they observed the children playing. "We have learned much from your species, Amanda, who studies life. Your nightmares taught us that sometimes darkness serves light, and that the willingness to fight evil is itself a form of beauty." Amanda smiled as she watched a human child help a fallen Zephyrian youngling back to its feet, while the alien child responded by creating a grateful pattern of rainbow light. The gesture was simple but profound, darkness and light supporting each other, creating something stronger than either could be alone. "Maybe that's what the universe needed all along," Amanda said. "Not just dreamers or just fighters, but beings willing to be both when necessary." As the two species worked together to prepare for whatever threats might emerge from the cosmic darkness beyond the galactic rim, humanity finally understood their true purpose among the stars. They were not just explorers or scientists or warriors. They were guardians of dreams, willing to face nightmares so that others could sleep peacefully under alien suns.